Roll call, Drew here, Steinbauer here, Barrett,
Here.
Gay, here, Murphy,
Here.
Friedman.
Here. Thanks. Number 7 is one.
Before we approve the agenda, I would like, I think we should just start that event since it's coming up quicker than we anticipate. So I would like to add a discussion after public comment about that event. This was in more detail. Can we do a motion to add that? All in favor? Opposed? You want to do public comment now then? Or wait till you do?
We can hear the public comment now, and then.
You can't hear. You can't hear.
I'm sorry.
I can't hear you. Can you speak up, everybody?
No, we don't have the microphones out,
Oh,
so we're gonna have to be louder.
okay.
So, we can do public comment now, if you want to talk before, and I think that just because of the nature of the meeting, I'm gonna try to go outside, and you guys can come out with us. I know Chris, we did that already at one point, and look around, and then, when we're done discussing, if they have some more offer, if you folks have no problem with additional, I mean, it's your meeting, but I don't see any problem with additional public comment.
No.
So, if there's any prior to, we can hear it now, or just not wait till after this.
Just a few things that
Sure.
are on my mind, in my heart. I'm Kevin Lino. I live on 37820 Mesco Road. And first thing, I always wondered, and I don't know what the protocol is, the normal protocol, but is there a reason why we don't vote for our meeting? Is that something that you guys would be willing to, at all our meetings?
We can talk about that at some point, but right now, it's probably not time for that.
Okay, it's just
Right, but no, I appreciate the thought,
Yeah,
absolutely,
it just,
for sure.
we are a God-fearing nation, so it would be, God places all authority. A couple things that I don't like to come to a meeting and just come up and give comment that I have thought about. So that's what we just kind of take it in. I think you guys do a great job. I mean, running meetings, and I did notice a couple times that it seems like we're in a hurry to go through agendas or to get things through. And I just think it's very important when you're representing your neighbors, your public, your family, whatever, that we deliberate with it and we think about it, and there is no hurry. Because to me, it can lead to myself in some way. My main concern always is my taxes. And I know taxes are necessary, but I really believe that we need to discern between luxuries and necessities. And I thought a lot about this, after the last meeting I saw that the initial plan A kind of dissipated a bit and fell apart a bit, so in one meeting, we came up with a new plan, and we're trying to push it through to get it done by the end of the year, whatever the rules said in the meeting. I mean, I didn't quote anything or anyone, but I just think deliberation is so important because we are in the public eye as public servants, or you are. I'm a part of the public, and I really think it's important that that those people have full confidence in what we're doing with their money and their tax dollars. And I got a lot of my motivation when I went to the state site on the last census about township demographics, and it was all determined by the last census, which I think in 2023, 2022. And I see that our township has the lowest population of any township in Macomb County, but it has the highest percentage of poverty. And the breakdown of poverty was people who are approaching or are in retirement age. And I don't ever want us to forget, all those years that those people paid their taxes and were faithful to the system that we've got going here. I don't want to forget them because they're on fixed incomes, and $100 increase in taxes is going to make a difference to those people. I see that last week in the drain and ditching and road meeting, that there was a proposal, and it's going to go to public vote, which I think is a great thing that you guys put that out there to public approval for $1 million. I didn't do the math. I didn't know what the numbers were, but I mean, and I know $1 million doesn't mean $1 million, but I do know that it makes an impact on those people. Like I said, who faithfully paid their taxes and participated in local government and been at these meetings for a long time. And so my concern is with those folks, and they're not the only ones who are under the poverty level. You know, a lot of people with children. Actually, the two major groups that are under the poverty level, it's a 9% poverty level in this township, and it's younger children and retirees that are under the poverty, that are part of that 9%. I'm not saying all of our retirees and children are under the poverty level, but some of them are. And so I just think it's so important that we take those things into consideration. That information is available, you know, to anyone to look at. It's just, to me, it makes a difference. You know, $100, $200, I'm raising 4 kids, you know, busy household, and I just want to see that we prioritize necessity over luxury. And I do believe that some of these things are eventually, as we grow. One of the things that stuck out to me was when I was looking at the census information was that we have about 32.4% of the people in this township that travel to over 40 miles every day to get to work. And that tells me that these people want to live here. Otherwise, you know, there are a lot of people who dream of living out here, but they don't make that break. And they're not willing to make that sacrifice to live out here and travel 40 miles each way every day. And so I don't ever want us to think that if we don't vote the right way or we don't push these projects through that they're used to where they came from, you know, in a more populous area, that they're going to be disappointed in you or anyone that has anything to do with that process. These people live here because they want to. And those are the kind of people you want living in your township or in your jurisdiction, is to people who want to live here, are people who are going to abide by the law, who are going to make friends with their neighbors, and they live peacefully because they want to be here. It's a great place to live. I've lived here my whole life. And so my last comment is, with this whole project, I'm up and back to it on the property. I was thinking the other day, I thought, you know, walking paths, where is there availability of walking paths? And we're between Richmond and Memphis, there, and I know Richmond, not Richmond Township, but Richmond proper, encompasses, you know, property in places and roads south of Richmond. But between Richmond and Memphis, where we are, this jurisdiction, it's 6 miles. And there is a major walkway in Richmond, you know, the Romeo Trail that goes all the way to Romeo. And we happen to be in the trailhead here in Richmond. And then we have, and a lot of people don't know about this, but in Memphis, I used to, when I was coaching football in Memphis, my kids we'd run the trail that goes around the school. It's a walking path, but we would, because it was in the evening and there weren't that many people around, I'd have the boys run that path. And it's a very extensive path. You know, a lot of people don't even know about this behind the schools. But, you know, in that area, that small area, 6 miles, there's 2 pretty good walking paths. So I just want you guys to know that I'm not here to persecute or prosecute anyone. I'm here to endorse good decisions and be part of good decisions for the entire populace, not just for a few groups that would favor that type of expenditure. And so, you know, Again, you are the public officials, I'm here to make comment. Again, I do believe you're here for a purpose. In Scripture it says that God places all authority, and I believe that. When I vote here in this room, I believe that. I'm just following through on the options of the people that God has delivered to that position. And so, you have a lot of weight on your shoulders, and I'm not minimizing that or diminishing that in any way. But I just want you to know that I believe great support and enthusiasm is gained by proper consideration and deliberation on these decisions. Whether it's $100, whether it's $1,000 a year, it's big to people. You're a taxpayer, you know that. Every extra dollar that comes out of your pocket is an extra dollar that you're going to spend on your family or have in your savings or retirement account. So that's all I have to say. I appreciate your time.
Anything else? Next we will ask Judy for an update on the kite fest.
I have been going around to different businesses in town asking for donations to help offset the price of the kites. I'm handing out flyers. I don't know if townships received any checks back from that, but I've had several good positive vibes that they would participate again. As far as I know, the windjammers are coming. I'm determined as to how many people right now, but we'll have to wait and see.
And what was our final date that was due?
September 13th, 12 to 3.
Kathy did get,
And Kathy got the Kona ice truck to come. I also saw Pops Eats and Treats in Silver gas station, and I mentioned to him about his event that he had at Lennox, and he said they had an awesome turnout, that he actually closed it early because of the weather, that he would be interested in coming out to see us if it's not.
and who is this?
Pops Eats and Treats, the food truck
Okay,
from the candy man that was here in town,
okay,
from here in Mount Clemens.
thank you.
So,
I saw that in the St. Clair Art Festival this weekend. They were up there servicing the festival.
he did say that Lennox Township is going to do another food event. So, I hope it's not our date.
Yeah.
I gave him our flyer so we could kind of put that in there in his head that it's us, we and you.
Does he charge to come here? Or you just want to come talk about it?
I have the card in my car. The flyer that he gave me gave prices for X number of people and choices of food. So,
Yeah, we can certainly check into it and see what it is. I know the last couple of years, your donations have paid for everything. It has not cost us much of anything, so thank you for that. And I do know, I remember sending out something, Tom and I have a movie theater popcorn machine, and it's all cleaned up, ready to go. We're going to do a trial run on it to make sure to go buy some bags for that, and bring that up here and have that out. And then didn't you have a
Cotton candy.
cotton candy? So we'll have those two things to give out for free too. Tom and I like popcorn in the bags, might be worth $50, not gonna be that much, but, we'll have that, and then we'll have water and some juice, and so we're picking up steam, right? I like that, we're going in the right direction, and we can advertise that and put that on our flyer for that those things will be there, so Tom said he would be on the sheet for me, which is great, because I don't really know. It's only better if it's fresh, right? It's nice and hot, it's good.
one of the businesses I went to is a seasonal business, and he asked me to come back in September when he opens back up
Okay.
for a donation, so I'm hoping that'll happen. I will be going out again next
Thank you.
week or 2 weeks, solicit some more.
And do we have a banner to put along the yard here? Or not yet?
No,
same one made, make up other one to match it, at least that, we get that part done.
Okay. Because I think she said she got those for $50 or $60. I think it was pretty minimal. And I know at one point we had talked about, for this particular event, I think it's hard to say the second Saturday of September because we don't know when it's going to be available up here. So I feel like for this, we need to just bite the bullet and spend the $50 or $60 and go with that. And then the other ones, we can go, like the second Tuesday of December, and that way we're not getting the signs over here. So,
And what were we telling the public about inclement weather? It just, you still come and make the kite, but then you may have to just take it.
maybe I can take your, have a bite of whatever's here that you can
Yes.
have and a drink and take.
So
it
rain
back
or
home.
shine, it goes on.
Yes. Yeah. We've been pretty fortunate.
We've been
about
very
it.
lucky.
I mean, really, we've been super fortunate about it.
We might be able to talk to the jailers and ask them, like the 13th is whatever.
The second Saturday of the
Yeah,
month.
because,
Is that the second?
yeah, this South Lion Festival is always a weekend after Memorial Day. Grand
So do you want to ask them if that's something they would consider,
I can do that.
just committing to us the second Saturday of September, so we don't have to remake a banner for that either?
Grand Haven is always after Memorial Day, so.
And they need you, they come out gracious. It was great. So that was nice of you. Thank you for sharing that information. Chris was very excited. So yeah, that was good.
Okay, good. Thanks, Judy.
Yeah.
Okay, next we want to talk about recreation plan.
Sir Matt did say, hold on. ETA 15 minutes, and that was at 6:04, so he should be pretty close. So, as you know, the township board tasked you folks with coming up with some kind of idea that you could present to them that we could maybe move on this year if we felt that was the thing to do. There was some lengthy discussion about having a pole building and what that would look like. Rick's wife actually had an idea that maybe we do part pole building enclosed and then the rest of it like an open pavilion, which perhaps would be less expensive, would allow people to just, if they want to hang out there during a soccer game or just come have a picnic there. One thing that we have talked about, and I think, Amy, that you have a solution for this, but I don't want to get into the building is having to hire someone to man the building per se. I don't want to have to hire somebody because then it turns into a bigger expense. So that's certainly going to be something we're going to have to consider. So tonight, I think we're going to have to decide, A, what exactly it is we would like to see out there. B, where we would like to put it. And I know the feeling was to put it right opposite their township hall. But we would need to consider the fact that we've had a wonderful group of soccer people come here we've been in this building 26 years in September. And we got to be careful because we don't want to plumb out. Now, Brian did mention he looked at the plan and said there was a way, what did you call it, a swale?
That swale is natural, west of that area already.
Yeah, because we have to be careful we don't want to plumb. And I hate to do that to them, they've been good, we've had a good relationship with them, and I would like to see that continue. That being said, I also don't know if there's another really good, effective place to put it. If you put it over on the new property, you're going to have to build an ADA walkway to get over there. I don't know how much it's going to cost. That could be another $40,000 or something, and that would be a question that we would have. And Sir Ben will be coming, and I did mention to him that there was some concern about how much additional cost it would be if he were to draft plans for us for this building. His comment to me was that if you get a prefab building, a lot of times the plans are, like all the specs are there, so he wouldn't have to do the specs. And feel like discussion was had also by, you know, when we all met, that the board kind of felt like we were gonna put a building up, we, you know, we was gonna get, we didn't want to do something that was just, you know, plain Jane, whatever, not too fancy. But we thought about, will it be big enough to have a pickleball court somewhere? If we do an outside, inside, maybe we do one each way. I feel like we almost need to have, at the very least, electricity there. Having a bathroom there would be great, but trying to get water and sewer there is going to be another $100,000, I'm going to say. And I just don't think that we're in a spot that I'm comfortable with that. You know, that's a ton of money. So I guess those are my thoughts. I'm going to see how far out it is. I think, do you see them out there, Chris?
No, not yet.
Okay.
Now, is the prefab, a more cost effective than, I know there was a lot of talk about Amish community putting something up, I'm assuming Amish wouldn't put up a prefab for you, they would do their own.
I feel that they would do their own. I feel probably the other two. I don't know this. This is just me being, you know, 60-some-year-old person who's seen stuff. I feel like if you have something stick built, it may be better quality. I don't know that. I can't say that for sure. I don't know. You know, prefab, maybe they've come quite a ways and they're just as good. I think I saw Carbide. So it really maybe easier.
If we go Amish, you probably would have to go drawings and everything else, right, to approve.
Well, in order to get, thank you, Chris, in order to get, you know, I mean, anytime a township spends that kind of money, you have to go out for bid. You can't just say, sure, here's $79,000, we're not going to see who gives us the best price, right? One concern would be, it's my understanding, Amish do not carry workers' comp, and in order for our liability insurance carrier to be involved in that, whoever bids it would have to have workers' comp. Is that something that could be worked out? If we get to that point, then I call Steve back and I say, you know, and then we would have to add that to the bid. But I think they would be, you know, it might be real high. So, yeah. So, anyways, I thought that hopefully tonight, but I think it's not raining now, so hopefully we can go let Trinette come in, sit down for a minute. We got in the water and breathe for a second. And we were just discussing, you know, the concerns about what we're looking at doing and not wanting to add a lot of extra cost to this.
Initially.
You have said that the prefab building was small and together. We're just going to talk about all that. So the idea, I think, is to maybe go outside and look at, first maybe decide what it is you folks are thinking. First, what is your, you know, what size, what are you thinking about proposed building, are you thinking about, I think that's probably our first thing, and then maybe secondly, we can all go outside and look and maybe take measurements for those areas, you know, low key and all that was called for your wheel. But Tom's team has got 200 feet on it, it should be good. You know, and he gave us the paint so we can spray and look and see what it's like. So anyways, that's where we're at.
Well, I was just up at Camp Cordell in Lexington yesterday, and they have a pavilion that is 4x4s, wood posts on a cement slab, and then the roof is asphalted, and they have tarps that they roll up on the side so that they can lower them down. It's all open except for the tarps. They can bring the tarps down for weather. So I was thinking that maybe a pavilion like that, I should take a picture, with, instead of a sliding door, like Mr. Kreiderman was saying,
The roll-up door.
or a roll-up door, that the tarps would be a solution.
How would you secure it from people going in there unlawful?
I don't know.
You don't know.
Well, this is just a big old, what, 30 by 40, 30 by 20 foot cement pad with four by 4s and then 2 or 3 across. So,
So if somebody wanted to sneak in there underneath that, they probably could.
yeah,
Yeah, that might be a.
it's just open pavilion though.
Yeah,
But if they're down, I worry about kids or somebody sneaking in there and having a party or something something you wouldn't want liability for would be my concern about the security.
Well, this was at a camp, so,
Yeah.
that's kind of a different situation,
Right.
I guess.
The other thing is also to aid us in our events, so it would be tough to have a Santa Claus event with parks and stuff, so.
I do think we need to build a shelter of some size and some dimension. We can ask for the bids in a couple different ways, extend on it a way to store picnic tables or like you said, in the summer, if they're out walking around or playing soccer, they have a little shelter to go to. So I think that helps. But the question I would have, obviously we can't have everything in it. And I know we all, we tried for grants and we continue to try for grants. What limits us with what we can do with that grant money? Does it depend on the grant? Meaning, we build the structure and everything except for the bathrooms, and then we get grant money to add that later? Is that a
I don't know.
legal approved option for grant money?
It depends on the grant. The one that we've been chasing was a recreational grant. So with that said, the most amenity that approved by the grant was a pathway and ADA compliance over wheelchair access and all the sorts of accessibility that would score higher. And we still didn't get it.
Because our median income was too high in the township.
So that's one tough one. And that was the largest, I think, we chased.
It sure was.
There are smaller grants that you can chase, but it won't give you much to work with.
So, wild guess, that's not only but just say if the building was put just on the other side of the drive somewhere over there, not too far off. Could we connect to the current septic, or would it be more financially advantageous to just reuse that and put a pump in over here?
Well, the cheapest way is to connect to the existing septic, because that's already permitted by the health department and has a reserved field for an expansion. So that would be an upgrade. Plumbing it all the way south,
Yeah.
probably still cheaper than building new one.
Okay.
You still have to go under the driveways and everything.
Yep.
You have to weigh both options. A new septic field will take space
Yep.
from the future park. And usually those systems are designed to have a primary field and then a reserve. So you can't build on that. It has to stay green.
And I know they, when we built the building, they made us provide a septic field that would accommodate 150 people because of our meeting room, right, Krista? Because generally there's 5 or 6 people in the building at one time, at the most. The only time I've ever seen it full, having that many people in here, we invited everyone to the medical marijuana meeting. We had probably 160 people here. And when we had the Sacred Heart special land use meeting, we had probably that many people here, and some. So So those are 3 times, we've been here 26 years in September, but they still required us to build them that big. So I don't know how they would figure how many people we could fit in that building, but I'm sure we would have to accommodate that number.
It's based on occupancy, I think, for the fire department. If you can accommodate, what, 150, 200 people, that's, there's a formula.
Yeah.
How much, how many gallons each body can contribute to a toilet, and that's how they size these septic fields. But for the one that you have right now, if you can picture it, the tower fence is as big as that tower fence, and it's just between the tower and this building.
Man, that I feel like it was $100,000, 26, 27 years ago, it was a ton of money. So it would be more than the building. So I know I didn't answer your question, and I'm sorry about that. I don't know that, I don't know a good answer to that. I feel like if we couldn't get a grant, it would be super cost prohibitive to put a bathroom in there, right? Tom and I were talking, so what if you do that? What if you just don't have a bathroom there? Well, then, of course, as we talk to Dave, so that the hall is open, they can come in here and use that. I really don't believe that we are going to be able to use those bathrooms over there. But if we get to a point where push comes to shove, and I can say, yes, I mean, I know we're going to have that. Anyways, so what do you do if you start, renting it out to people for birthday parties and showers, where we have a porta potty, but they're probably, I'm going to guess if people come, they're semi-dressed up, they're not going to a regular porta potty. So then nowadays they have the fancy schmancy ones where you can pay, $400 or $500 for it. That's something you add to the cost of the application. And then if that's the case, then it's, really going to want to come on here and run it. I mean, if the bathroom's going to be a problem, if we put it up, and think that we're going to get to use it to rent out for, if we're having, we have our events, we have our Santa event, Halloween thing, we can use bathrooms here, because there'll be someone here, and someone can, come here, they can use bathrooms here, that would be a problem. I just think really that trying to get a septic and water to a building, I think that's going to be a lot of money. And if a grant can pay for it, yay. But I want to tell you that it can, and we're counting on it, and that can happen. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I think I keep going back in my head, this money was for recreation, we're here for recreation, I don't know if we're here for, rental of a hall.
Right. And I agree.
I mean,
I agree.
our objective when we started this a couple of years ago was
Yep.
recreation in mind for
Yep.
the older folks here, the younger folks here, and the middle folks, and renting a hall is a business.
Yep.
With expenses that come with it.
Physical and mental health of the community is what we're concerned with.
Right.
What can we do to enhance their life in that way? Right.
I mean, can we grow into that? Sure. If we have other donations or grant money or something.
We get the Walton Foundation to float us, bunch of money.
Yeah, it would be great to get free money. It's just, it's so competitive.
It
It's
is.
unbelievable how many municipalities and entities are chasing these grants. I mean, you're competing with everyone in the United States. It's not an easy task. So why would they give it to us? You don't have a press committee designation.
Like I said, certainly that was our lowest score in the ARPA application, was, she said, our median income was $72,000 a year. And that was about $37,000 higher than the original score. So,
Macomb County has a program, a wonderful program, but you don't qualify for the press committee. We've done sidewalks, we've done
the CDBG
those
stuff.
CDBGs, yeah.
I'm going to apply to that for the new furnace over there this year. I've already given the hands up for that, but, because we use that for seniors and did have a survey, and the walking path was the first, and that's
All the time. Two surveys and it was.
right? And because they said they wanted an activity that seniors could enjoy, that youngers could enjoy, could use for a bike path, all of those kind of things. Restroom was high up there, but I just told you that's Lennox Township money. That was not Richmond Township money, right?
Yeah, for the folks who don't realize, restrooms are the most expensive facilities that you asked for. A small dual bathroom with a small storage and concession, just like Lanx's, 3, 4, 5 years ago, I don't know, longer than that, it was half a million dollars. That little building.
Then we had the pavilions and picnic tables. So I feel like that's kind of the area where we're at right now. So, because that walking path turned out to be so expensive, and I did talk to all the board members, I know Chris mentioned that she thought quarter of a mile walking path might be fine, and I believe we all feel that quarter of a mile is fine. She's the walker here, I said to her, you probably walk as well. Quarter of a mile around the football field, is that what you said it was? So that's something, that's one thing we can look at. We look at the building, we can look at, like you said, pickleball courts, but I know our job, our task was to come back to the township board with our recommendations. I know that we also talked about if we do walking path or if we did pickleball courts, we would like to be able to open that up to everybody, just so perhaps it is more competitive and maybe we'll get a better result, maybe we won't. I don't know that. But I feel like that's what everybody felt like that would be something we wanted to do.
So you can trim the scope down. Look at some things here. Walking path, we usually, for a township park, walking path is the first thing that you put. Because it's out in the perimeter, it's visible, and anybody can use it. And it's the cheapest, relatively the cheapest improvement that you could add so far. And then you go build on your other items and facilities. When you trim the scope down, if I hear you correctly, that's about 2,000 feet long. If you just go around the soccer field all the way to the edge of the property and then come back, it's just a big
Can we
rectangle.
go outside? No, would you mind going out and just kind of talking just out there?
Yeah, just reference my computer when I talk.
Okay.
So that's only 2,000 feet. Miles 5,300, so it's somewhere there. Now, when you trim it, the prices would not be as cheap.
Right, because it's quantity,
Yeah.
it's like,
The
you're buying
economies,
10 for 10 or something. What?
Because the equipment is there, the crew's there, it's just material. So they take a couple extra days to pay, to double the pavement. I mean, you really want to maximize as much as possible. Now, I know that you can try to work with a little bit of budget, but I have to make it clear.
Right.
So if you're not doing the pathway, you're not doing the buildings, you just want a building. So you have to get to that level. You have to make access. So there should be some kind of sidewalk or pathway to get there. And you be able to service it and all that good stuff. If it's just a storage building that you convert to, different activities, that's a different story. But it's got to work in sense. Do we have any idea of how much that building is going to cost?
I don't think, people throwing all kinds of different figures about, I think by the time you get the building there and put, you gotta have electricity to it, even if you don't have heat, so you're still, you gotta have lights there, right? If you're gonna be inside, use it in the winter time, you have to have electricity there. So just a regular pole building. At first, it was talked about with having to roll up garage doors. So then a cement pad and an apron around it. I don't know, what did we talk about at the meeting, $120,000 or $130,000. So Kathy's, we discussed it all, we go out for bid, any Amish bid on it. I got with Sharon, she said she didn't see why not. Tom's concern there was that they don't have workers' comp, and I didn't know if you could let someone build it without workers' comp. You'd have to get it for that particular job if they could. But I think they built Chucky a whole building, 80 by 40 for $67,000. That was what this is meant for.
Didn't we have to give a state, they do carry workers' comp nowadays.
I don't know, and I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that Kathy said when they came to Chucky's, there were 14, 15, 16-year-old kids working on it. So I don't know enough about it. No, she's been carrying it.
I don't remember the board member that sat on the end from Chuck.
Yep.
He referenced that he could possibly add workers' comp for those workers through his private.
And that was really kind
That was
of
very
very
kind of
And I know he was
kind.
sincere when he said that, but I feel like, I don't know that that would be, that would definitely be something for Chuck.
So it's not just the insurance, it's actually the quality of work. I mean, don't forget you're a public entity.
Yeah.
So we want to make sure that things get done right, because we hold everybody else
Yeah.
to the same standard.
Sure.
We don't want to start, treating ourselves different. And,
No, we shouldn't.
and say, okay, this is not needed, inspection is not needed, survey is not needed, permits are not needed. We can't do that. And again, sorry, what would having a building do more than what a pathway does? I mean, you're talking, I hear you saying that the functions and people can rent them and all that, but I don't know if that's recreational. It's just like putting a tent.
I feel like the pavilion part of it would be a big part. I do feel like there, as I said, you have a big soccer contingent that we had for a long time. And I do feel like if we put something out that they'd have the opportunity for them to just sit in the shade or get underneath, put some big tables in, bring their lunch, that kind of stuff, I think it would get used quite a bit. I feel like for the
That's
events,
complimentary.
yeah, the events that we have would be, as I said, the Easter egg hunt, the Halloween thing, the kite flying thing, where they decorate, and the Santa thing, those are our 4 events we have every year. And, we started over there, and now we've moved over here because they've grown so much, which is great. But I think it would be good to be able to use a space like that for that purpose.
So for the land, you still need a shelter, the picnic tables. You could go with a cheaper option, with respect for.
Yeah, wasn't the one that was spec there, how big was it?
30 by 40 and 30 by 80.
And what did they come in on a 30 by 80 one with that metal?
It was,
Was it like 235? Yeah,
For the building or pavilion?
that's just a pavilion. So we had talked to someone who had built 40 by 80 wood pavilion with a shingle roof for Emily City, and they built it for $100,000. Just this, they just finished it in just one. They just one was $100,000, so it was half wood there, half the cost, but it was wood with shingle roof and stuff. The one they built was 40 by 80.
So 40 by 80, but we're adding another, let's say half of that, because we had two. So 150 versus 200. It's not a big difference between the two. And that was width and this is not.
Right, but I guess what I'm saying is I think right now with the amount of money we have, I just think $50,000 even is going to be,
Oh, no, I mean, it,
You know.
just trying to put things in perspective.
right?
A wood and shingles is not going to last this.
No,
long
it's
as
not.
metal.
Nope, it's not. I feel like basically in one sort of measure, we want to give our residents something to have a place to come, enjoy themselves, and stay, you know, we have $460,000 to spend. And that doesn't mean we're never going to get grant money, or we're never going to get any donation from anyone, but this is the bulk, as I see it, unless somebody's like winning the lottery and give us a couple $1 million, right? But this is the bulk of what I see we're going to be able to spend on the basis for our recreation. It's going to cost, you know, there's going to be some upkeep. And I don't know how much it will last 10 years. I don't know. I don't know.
Metal is rated for 60, 50.
You guys throw in your thoughts.
Shingle, just like at home, here in Michigan, would average like 15. And then you have to replace the shingle.
20 a month.
20.
20.
And now they put on 50-year
Inch.
shingles.
Yep.
Just did that last spring.
And then the wood structure versus the metal. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, we're here to help you. We're not looking for work. It's just whatever you guys want to do, we'll help you with. If you scrap the whole project, it's your project. We were directed by the board
Yes.
to put this together.
Yeah, you are.
So we only act on board direction.
For sure. And it was great, we were all excited. Until May 30,
Yep.
at 4:30.
I mean, it's a sizable project.
It is, but I feel like it's not nearly as sizable as I was hoping it would be at one point, just because of the way things are now. I mean, what are you gonna do? They cost more money, right? So I feel.
Again, if I put, the prep and the drainage and the pond, just to give you an idea, the pathway itself,
You said it's gonna be about 660, and that's if we, or 680, and that's if we put the pads up.
If you look at the plan, it skipped the walkway going next to the soccer field and where the proposed baseball field was, and make the walking path straight west off of your asphalt parking lot going all the way north, running parallel to your driveway. How much is that downsize that walking path?
so which section do you want to eliminate? The one.
The south side, next to the soccer.
It's just a whole loop around.
But the whole loop around the proposed secondary soccer field was. I looked at the drawing that encompasses the flower garden, the flower bench.
You're gonna hear it. Yeah, come on down.
You'd be closer.
This part.
Yeah.
I'll just give you an idea. Yeah.
This roll along the road. You've got a green belt area here that's next to your existing park.
So that's 1,700 feet.
You could fit a pavilion in here, you got a 30-30 area in that green belt for future playscape. You've still got a green belt area here. There's existing soccer fields here. Your parking's right here. Your entry walkway can come off this driveway. Your entry walk to your path can come off the same driveway. Your bioswale, you wouldn't have to put this bioswale in right now. Now, this bioswale with this head,
Yeah.
is that a
Because everything slopes
it's all this, so if the walking path was here, this bioswale still has to be included. Okay, now would it have to be included here as well?
No, it's probably.
It's gonna flow here, okay. So you eliminate all this bioswale from here, all the way across. This would still have to come. Why couldn't we figure that out and make, see if this works?
Yeah, that's.
Stay inside that number.
That's about some. If you want to turn it just for budget, I mean, we can talk to the contractor and start limiting something until you get it.
I mean, 30, legacy post in Martin, you probably get it, say, 100,000 would come down, 30, 40. Is it going to be what you want eventually? No, but you still have space to do that stuff out here. But this gets you a covered area to put 6, 8 picnic tables and have a family function. It might not be year round, but for the most part, how many people in the winter come in?
And we can eliminate that, I mean, just put a pad, we talked to paper, put a pad and put that way, and then figure out the picnic tables and
Yeah.
the shelter places. You can do that too.
You've got this green belt here, the proximity to the parking is perfect. I don't know, my opinion, because you're not going very far with an ADA walkway to get to this pavilion. It's very close.
Walkway.
Yes, but it's very close. And if he's encompasses his asphalt here,
The only thing here is you still have to kind of connect these sidewalks to over here to bring this network back.
so that's mandatory that you have to bring a sidewalk.
And you overpave that parking. Against it. Somehow it has to be like a.
So you can't just take a walkway and come off the parking lot and go to the pavilion?
Yeah, the existing one is 3 acres. This is a future park.
Oh, how far is it over? This is,
This is the existing.
oh, okay, that's why the green belt seems bigger.
Yeah.
Okay, so if this is, oh.
So you have to have a connector.
Oh, so I assume this was what it's already here. You're saying this, so this says this green belt is bigger. It's a little bigger when I walked up there.
Yeah, this is future.
Oh, yeah. Now, when you say future, that's guaranteed they're going to park and pay? Oh,
Well, it's up to the township.
oh, yeah. You got plenty of room. Yeah, you can put your pavilion here. You got room for even a bigger pavilion. That green belt's here, and we walk up there, you can see it. And as far as making a walkway from the existing parking lot to there, that's not even a long run. You're inside 50 feet.
I still like your idea of being in the back. That would keep that.
Can we go on now? Do you mind? Really?
Yeah.
No, because I want to see what.
Oh, yeah, I mean, that's, we can sit here and talk.
Right, I just wanna
You
see what it looks like.
Yeah, when you see it outside, you're like, oh, that makes.
Do we need to measure and
Gotta measure, we gotta measure.
Oh, look, see, Chris.
You can pause the camera if you like.
Well, we do not want to accept that bid.
That's what I'm trying to get at. Once you open it, you have to say, I will only accept a bid from you. It's just like you calling somebody to do your house paint. How long have you been doing this, you know?
Right.
Oh, I just started last week. I just bought my sprayer,
Right.
you know? Or do you give it to somebody who's been doing this for 5 years?
And that's where the due diligence would be, I think, on the township board and relying on you as our vendor to, you know, this is a good company, this company we stay away from.
The way that we've been doing it, we rely on MDOT, the Michigan Department of Transportation. So they have a very extensive screening criteria. And we say, if you're a paver pre-qualified with MDOT, with this amount in your pre-qualification limit, let's say $1 million worth of a job, then we will accept your bid. As simple as that. For this one, we've done 500 because we went a little bit above.
Right.
So the minimum requirement was $500,000 pre-qualified with MDOT.
So just for the sake of curiosity, I asked the engineer at the other place where I work how often he uses that as their, and he said in all the years he's been there, he's used it one time. And that was when they bid their industrial road subdivision, and it was a big job. So that doesn't mean he didn't get the same bidders. I think James P. bid on almost everything.
Yeah.
And Paymar they bid on almost everything. Oftentimes it was the same when times were really busy, it was the same 2 or 3 bidders.
Just read it.
And then the last year, it got to be 8 or 9 bidders, but those 2 or 3 bidders were, and a lot of times they wouldn't take low bid because they were not a reputable company. They would end up taking one of those bidders. But I think I got really clear direction from them, and that was the direction.
And I get it.
Yep.
Again, we can only proceed with what the board wants.
Yep.
And if that's what the board wants, they just need to understand the risks.
And I appreciate that you're looking out for us. I totally do. And you know, I'm feeling that it will be hopefully we will get some better results. And if we don't, we don't. I just feel like the move is on that mostly everyone wanted to do something this year. As I mentioned, I hate to make hasty decisions, so for me, I'm going to not stand in the way of this. But, I was given direction to get a plan. Our thoughts, what we're recommending, and then the council will have to decide if they like the plan or not. So.
Go back inside.
Good question. Proposed expansion of parking lot. How long has that plan been on there? Is that something they just come up with recently?
No, I think it's probably been on there forever, hasn't it?
Yeah.
From day one,
Is
that's
that-
why you don't see it through.
That's what I was wondering. They're gonna add how many spaces? What is that proposal? It's an antiquated plan.
I understand what he's saying, though. If we ever get to a point where we are big enough to offer having,
30 spots.
30 spots.
yeah.
They're gonna be taking all that green belt away. So that could have to run the council. They don't use the spots that we have. I drive by all.
Right.
This is a perfect.
But we're not changing the plan.
We said our setback was here.
Yeah. So that can switch. It's just
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering.
I don't want to take that out.
Exactly.
If I put it there and then we decide
Yeah.
to.
Yeah.
That's what I was asking. Is that going to be set in stone? If the pavilion's put here, you don't have to worry about moving it, right?
Okay, so what do you guys want to do?
All right, so I think we agreed on the area to build something, right? So if we propose like a 40 by, 150 is the space, but, we have to run a 40 by 120 to leave space at the end. I don't know. But maybe 40 by 150 pavilion with a pad. And then if we do the walking, I'm sorry to describe it, if we do a path around that footprint,
Just let around that.
well,
Yeah.
what happens if we go around the soccer field and back up to make it more of a quarter mile? I don't know the exact distance, but do we get involved with the swales then?
Yeah. So wherever the path goes, the swale has to be,
This one has to go, except for that area.
except for that area.
Because the ditch is right here.
So that eliminates that cost of having to set the swale up where the water's gonna run, if we do it that way. If we go by the soccer field, the swale and the retention pond have to be included as well? I'm sure. Okay. You said it's always wet by that tree line.
He's recording, I can't say.
Yeah. I'm assuming the water's gonna pool there, so.
Yeah, it needs to be gained area.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you said that was a wet area anyway. The tree line on the south side of the property was a wet area.
So everything right now goes to that
Okay.
corner, the soccer field, and the tree line next to it. That's the wettest area.
I'm assuming there's no drain tile or drainage in that.
No, but
There's a
there's a
problem.
drain at the corner. It's supposed to take all the drainage from.
Okay.
It doesn't make it there because there's no network except for this middle ditch, which kind of dies at the end.
I see it.
Yeah.
So we're trying to stay away from as much swale work as we can, to save money.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then the walking path, I think pretty much only be around the greenbelt area with work in.
But I was thinking, if you're gonna put the paths where we marked it for a couple of pavilions, then the sidewalk will connect from the southern edge of the parking lot,
Yes.
continue,
West.
come back and connect to these two paths, or one pad or the pavilion area, and then back this way, just south of the hall.
It's almost a perfect square. And that's a start. Yes, yeah.
So Rick, can I get clarification? What I thought I heard you say was a 45-150 pavilion?
Or
That's the maximum.
Yeah,
area.
Right, but did you want the pavilion that big?
I thought if we asked for bids that way, and then an alternate on the bid would be to close off, make it a pole barn with the pavilion sticking out to whatever we thought we needed 40 minutes and stuff. Is it 80 foot on that 150? Is it 100 foot on that 150? And then you have, the overhang, if you will, over the remainder footage.
You see the perplexed look on my face? I'm totally misunderstanding, I'm sure it's 1,000,000% my fault.
Probably not. I get the same look at home.
So, I love it.
I think I picture what you want to do. You got a long rectangle, right? So
That's the area we can use.
Yeah.
So it's the area we can use.
yeah, pavilions on this side, a pole barn behind the support,
Attached.
attached, or next to it.
Okay.
So, a whole building what size attached to a pavilion of what size?
So that,
So you got 40 by 150, 42.
right,
Roughly. Okay, so the most you can do is 40.
right.
40 by 80 for the pavilion area. That leaves you with another
30 by 70
70.
of a pole.
40 by 70, 40 by 60, if we want to make it even numbers.
40 by 60 for the barn?
Yeah.
Enclosed area.
Yeah.
Closed area.
Sounds better than a barn.
Okay, and then 40 by what for the pavilion?
40 by 80. 40 by 60, because you could split it in half if you
I
want.
think 40. So here's the question, do you have room to pickleball on that?
So here is the thing with pickleball. Next to you guys?
Yeah.
Right back, or somewhere.
Power right here.
There's power
Power
there.
on here, on the back side.
There is, look at me, I sit down,
As
there
long as
for
they're out there.
20 years and I never noticed that.
Hey, I haven't seen it today. I'll give you the exact dimensions. These are Pickleball Tennis Federation standard dimensions. So each court, 64 by 34. Yeah. 34 by 64.
7 foot sides. You got 7 foot,
7 sides. Yep.
that's your void space on the side of the court, so you don't smash into something.
Yep.
And
And
the
that,
length has to add
Almost
too.
matched.
and that's court size. So you have to have some kind of a buffer around it for benches, people walk around.
So the 60 in the, that's not going to be big enough. The 40 will be big enough, the 60 is not going to work.
70 or 80, and it's less pavilion. But you're still gonna have 50 plus foot of pavilion, 50 by 40. For picnic tables and stuff, right? That's what that's for. Future years, if there's that big of a demand, and it's money later, with a grant to build one outdoors.
Yeah, unfortunately, you can't really just next to each other, but I don't think, unless we start shifting this ditch, we don't want to do it.
You said that entire length is 150, is that what you figured?
Since I had this,
You said
it's 150 minus the sidewalk.
8 feet. So 34 is your width requirement for pickleball. Sides,
34,
34,
64.
64. Okay, 64.
If you put them next to each other, 68, if they're side by side. But you can't have nothing between. Which, if you can accommodate, like,
That's just on the end.
at the ends, I mean, it's not like, it's not the same as, like, in the middle, where people wouldn't be by the action and all that stuff. But you can still do that. People will be sitting by the covered, what do we call it?
Covered enclosure.
The covered enclosure on the other side. And one.
Sounds fancy.
Yeah. So if it's 60, 68. Right on the edge of the ditch. Yeah, no room whatsoever. Very good. This is fine.
Accommodating one pickleball court would still be a start, right? I mean, having one would be better than not having anything. And it would be less cumbersome, I think, trying to fit two in it.
I agree. Yeah, you could stack them this way.
Yep. Well, then you'd need 128 plus, so the indoor covered structure, whatever we're calling it, yeah, it would be 130 foot long, up 150. So now you have 20 foot open, the big rows on it, 20 by 40, I guess that's still pretty big. Unless it is.
So that would allow plus 30 feet.
Meetings back to that, is that gonna just, somebody misses their shot, it's gonna interfere with the next game every time.
Well, you have to tell them.
You'd have to.
But if we put a fence now, it doesn't impede our fence.
Or you have a portable, take a portable ball, yeah, but you couldn't really.
You have to fence them either way. Unless they're inside the.
Yeah, we were
Close.
thinking
Well, yeah,
inside.
we were talking inside the close space.
Yeah, and just mapping it out ourselves, but. Portable hat.
Yeah, pretty tight. All right.
I almost said one, right?
I think one's enough to see if there's, any use or not. We definitely use a structure for events and township meetings,
Me too. Trust me on that. We actually want
wanted to do 4.
Nice.
Yeah.
Who did the paving?
Just, come on.
He finished it up just recently, right? Is it strike right?
Here.
They're done. Okay, I thought I saw it. 3 days ago.
No, what about that? That's
I'm sure eventually we'll make tennis courts.
No.
Probably don't be used. Are they used those tennis courts?
No, this is brand new court.
No, I'm saying, I see over Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh was different.
You see what they did over there?
Yeah.
And they put temporaries or the movable nets on the one tennis court, which gave them 2 more pickleball courts.
Yeah.
They kept one full tennis court.
Pitchfork was different. They have 4 pickleball, and those are used the entire day. People just
Yep.
haven't go to it.
Even rain,
Yep.
played the
You
rain.
hear what happens, people will be there playing.
It's fine.
Beautiful.
That's Friday. Friday. It's not open yet.
When they open it, they say.
Jonathan, what do you think about all
Right.
this?
It's not open yet.
I won't be there.
What?
Taking it all in.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of open parts, you know. So it depends, covered, not covered, lanes, so close structure, it all depends, you know.
And clothes brings heat into the equation, I'm assuming.
I'm certain.
I'm just asking that, if your thought process is going to go forward.
Why you guys wanting to close? Instead of just a pavilion?
2 of them, so our events with the recreation board.
I think that's the basis,
Right. For the events.
is having a place for our events. You know, for instance, when we had the Halloween event here, which was wonderfully successful, we ended up with paint everywhere, and if we could have the building to put our events in, I think it would be pretty helpful. Certainly, you know, I guess, not a necessity, but it's,
So Matt, how big is this room here?
Roughly or exact?
No, it's rough.
60-something feet, 7 feet.
Just going out, just. Wall to wall is 45.
Okay.
And our events have a lot of young children, so we really need a safe space that can be enclosed, so we don't lose any of these little people, or, you know, it's like.
don't want to sneak out.
So we just need power. We just need
We would
lights.
need power.
Okay.
We would need power.
I think out of respect for how tight the budget is, we need lights in there, because a couple of our events are at 6 at night, and it's dark out then in December. I mean, it's,
Now, we
So
definitely.
this room is
need
47 by 46.
And here, we're doing winter events in there.
Architectural.
But
Oh, yeah, you guys-
I'd
I
like
look
to
at my
see the
bar, I
price
mean,
tag
it's
on
like
that
$20.
you could
This would go bigger.
the bid to see how much more than take it out,
Right.
it's too much.
Right.
But you guys need to decide first, like, outline what you're doing, and then we'll have specifics to figure out as well, and we'll have to figure out what the bid process is gonna look like, and who's gonna do that, and all that, so.
Okay.
Moving. All right.
So we're tabling this now, so we come up with
Well, I'm just saying, this is just, and again, I'm going to say out loud. I fully understand everybody wants to get something done this year, and I appreciate that so much, and I would also like to get something done this year, but it has also in my experience in my life, when I make a hasty decision, it does not turn out as well as I had hoped. I love the idea. I love that we have found a place we can go. You know, I feel like if we're trying, those are going to be big buildings if we fill out that whole spot. Those are going to be big buildings. Are they going to be too big? I don't know that, but they are going to be big, right? And if we're looking at, like Amy said, do we want to include in the bid having, you know, heat in there and maybe air as something like when Sir Ed went through the bid for the walkway, he was able to talk to the contractor and they could cut that out if it was an item that was going to be another $25,000 or something like that. Because I don't know what that costs. I just know that if you really want to get something done this year, we're going to have to make some tough decisions tonight or try to meet again in a couple of days and make those decisions. And then we don't have a July meeting, and I'll be back by July 21st, which we could set a special meeting. Then we have to move forward if the township board, that's presuming the township board would approve it, with getting a bid packet put together, letting the bid, it's usually 15 days for that. I mean, and now you're in September, maybe, August, late August. So,
It's gonna be time to put the
Oh, yeah.
packet
Oh, yeah.
together.
This is just a proposal to get something going in the future. We're not thinking this year's stuff, because we're already in July.
so, right, and I know that Amy had said that she really wanted to do something this year at that meeting.
Well, I would love to in a
Me
perfect
too.
world, but we don't have a ready enough plan. But I do feel we can get a plan
We've lost
together
it.
before
Yeah,
the
we've
event.
lost it.
And
Amen.
as soon as spring is here, we
Amen.
are breaking ground. Right, I don't want to make any type of rush decision at
No.
all. I
No.
want to make sure that we're spending the money wisely and not just letting it sit.
Me too. And I'd like to do some, I would like, you know, by this time next year, to be able to look out there and see something.
Exactly.
You
It's not
know,
this year. This year it's gone.
I mean, how do you think the rest of the boards would feel if we wait? Because I know they were anxious to get something as well. I don't like to make, I have made some mistakes in my life making those decisions. Where I think, oh, this is a great idea, let's move forward with it, and then about, 2 months later, I'm like, what was I thinking? Oh, I wasn't, that's right, I wasn't thinking. That's why I made that decision.
Now, what is the legalities of getting a bid now? Because we really don't know.
Well, they'll only hold them for 30 days.
Right, so then that's the problem. We don't necessarily want to wait till spring to get the bid, and then it's cost prohibitive, or we have to start over.
Well, the thing is,
We
the
wouldn't get a bid
contractor
now.
would need a plan
Right.
to bid something.
Right,
So without a plan, they're not gonna know what to bid.
Yeah.
right.
We're
So
talking here
Yeah.
today.
we're not going to be able to even get it bid till spring then.
I don't think so.
So again, and so that I just want to throw this out here, when we talked earlier, I had mentioned to you that there was a concern about the amount that it was going to cost us if we went through you with everything. If we're looking at something like getting a plan together for a building and that smaller walking path, what is that? Again, not going to hold you to the number, just as a guess, what does that look like on engineering fees for you to prep that and bid it for us?
So, I'm not looking forward, really. I mean, if you get a contractor here to come in and you explain to them what you want, and they can bid it, by all means. The only permit that you need here is from Cook County Solar, and that is needed. Now, you get a contractor who's done in a couple of weeks, it's done, okay? Not gonna say anything for it. But in order to apply for the permit, you need a plan. Who does the plan?
Yes.
Okay? So for a little small sidewalk and a couple of pads, that's really minor. It's not a whole, and we already have the survey. You already paid.
But I mean, like, we're not looking at over $5,000 for something like
No,
that.
there's no way, no.
Because I think that, and I mentioned to you, that was a concern, and again, only because we don't know, it's not our job, it's not our livelihood. We did not want to take $20,000 of this money and put it into that, and
Burn it.
I feel like that was,
Well, thanks, man.
Not that you're not worth it.
but you know what I'm saying, I just be blunt, I mean, that was everyone's concern, we were just, we don't know. All we know is we have $460,000, and we'd like to do something with it, and we would like to follow the recommendations to some degree, whatever it looks like. If it looks like we're just gonna have the path out there for now, and, you know, some type of structure that we can do pickleball in, and people can sit underneath and have a picnic in, and we can hold our events in, then that's great. And then we can say to the state of Michigan, we've invested all of this money in our park. What are you willing to do for us? Now, of course, part of that would be, everything we do will be a little bit more, will have to be ADA compliant, because Samantha Davis was very clear to us, and so that's gonna add a little, but I don't think anyone like that anyways, I feel like we should just do it. And she was like, staring at me in her head, you know you should. I see you, Judy.
So to be ADA compliant, the contractors, what we've seen, they're not going to certify it. So they need direction. And if everything is ADA compliant, we have to give them these grades and tell them.
Right, and that would be in the plan. That would be something that is put in the
So
plan.
it's not a sketch, what we.
No.
You know.
Which is something that we have talked about too, when we talked about that. I'm like, it would be great if we could save money on that, but who does that? I can't do that. Maybe Brian would know someone that could, but I don't, you know, then you're, you know. So I guess, what are you folks feeling? Are you feeling like you can make a decision on exactly what you want tonight? Are you feeling like we've got some more information and we can just tell the board we're working on a plan? We can try to meet again in the next week and everybody think about the numbers Sermon gave us, how much we have. Do we need a building that big? I don't know. You know, my little pole barn is 1,200 square feet. I think we need a building bigger than that. For, you know.
Or you can start simple. When you put the pad, you put the sidewalk on it, then you decide if you want to close it later on the south side. If you want to put pavilions or a combination of pickleball, because certain things need to be sloped certain ways to make things happen. So if you decide it's just a pavilion,
That's the cheapest,
that's the cheapest
least
way to do
expensive, I
it.
should say.
It's just a pad and a sidewalk going around it. That's it. Then you come in, you put the shelter, you put the big tables. all that. That would be the simplest, cheapest, fastest way to do it. There's a laundry list out here that you get people want. So you need to decide what you want so we can put the plans together.
That's fair enough. You know, and again, if the five of you feel like you want to try to do this tonight, I don't have to go around the job tomorrow, so I'm here tonight. But if you'd like to,
Let's meet on the 21st. That's when we're back, July?
I'm back, yep, so we
We
as a
can't
board.
question, I don't think we should question this.
No, I don't feel like we should either.
Yeah, because this year is lost. There's no way to put a packet together, bid it, and start construction and finish it. And by the time you're done, it's September, nobody can use it anymore.
And we tried the first bid, it wasn't like we didn't try, we tried. I mean, it was a fail, but that's okay.
First attempt in learning in state.
Right, exactly.
Right? That's it, our first attempt in learning.
We did it.
Or even walking outside and seeing the green belt. The thought process, physically looking at it, we're thinking about it.
And realizing that part of that green belt was safe for parking, which I realized, so, you know, we're in all things today, that's one of them, but, so, are we all game to come back on the 21st and meet and have a better idea? And probably what I'll do is send everybody out an email tomorrow with some questions for us to think about when we get back. For us to try to have answers or, you know, a good discussion on those things. We know where we're gonna have it, that's a good thing, like that. I think that makes the most sense. I think everybody's willing to make the walking path smaller just to get something started. It would be out here, it's not ideal, it's not what we can, call the board members and just tell them where we are. And I think hopefully they will be okay with that. I think we have some pretty prudent people on the board and,
We need to really zero in and make sure it's.
I want to do a good job with the money that we
Yeah,
have.
that's,
And it doesn't look like we thought, so we'll make it look better.
There's also a possibility of prefab. There are manufacturers, like a concrete manufacturer, that will completely structure the whole thing, and they just bring it in panels to be put together. And they're not bad.
No, Samantha Davis at the state said they were less money.
Yep.
And they come with specs and everything.
Yeah.
engineering.
Yeah, engineering, everything, certified and all that. And they look nice.
Do you know where any are? We can look at it.
Just look for that. Because we did look for that when we were doing it, Lax's, and they decided to match the existing tunnel. So it was metal roof, white, and all that
Yeah.
stuff, so that was scrapped. But see if I still have it, for sure.
Even Pittsburgh, which is a very expensive park, they don't have a, but they have a small little covered by pickleball course.
They do, yeah.
They have a bathroom,
I have their plans, if you want to take a look at them.
they have a dog park, and then they walk, it's their walking.
Yeah,
It's not paid for.
it is.
Part is,
The entire thing is.
oh, really? Okay. I thought it was part.
That's all concrete. Asphalt.
Playscape there.
Is there multiple companies that do these precast? So we can bid against each other?
I know one. We should, yeah, that's correct. Something like this, instead of, yeah.
I'm coming up to look.
So it's a concession bathroom
Yeah.
combination.
Is this a precast? Okay.
Concession bathroom.
Even down the landscaping trees.
Yeah.
We know that. We know that.
We know God is good at
You
that.
can soften that look.
Yeah.
Proper landscaping.
And how much is something, does it say how much something, or that's just pictures from here?
It's cheaper than
And
conventional.
how big is that one?
This one.
But still, that's what they look like.
Yeah, remember, I mean, they can only go so much with the panel.
Are there height restrictions on those though?
These guys, local, advanced concrete products.
But, how high can they make them? Because that's a concern too, if we want to put in some makeshift pickleball courts, you have to have some height in your building.
Well, no, you can't have.
So you wouldn't be able to do any of that, so that's
This is just
completely different.
like storage or whatever.
Yeah, so that's completely different.
Just an idea.
So I think that's, certainly something we can look into, and I can talk to Sermet between now and the 21st. And, maybe get some websites, I can look at some of those and forward them to you guys. And then, like I said, I'll get a list of agreeing to that, and we're gonna have to do, like, someone will have to make a motion to have a special, another special meeting on the 21st at 6. And I will then let the board know what we're looking at.
When is your August board meeting? Like, how much time do we have from the 21st until to present?
Let me look.
It's like Wednesday.
Second Wednesday, so that's the 13th. Yeah.
That's fair week.
It is fair, we talked about that because, you know, we take one meeting off in the summer, and it was either July or August, and I said I made the Alaska trip plans a long time ago, and I knew I wouldn't be here, and trustee Greiderman has public sources in the fair, and he said he could still make the meeting, so we took July off. But of course, you know, we'll look right up at the meetings anyway, so, but.
All right, can I get a motion to have a special meeting on Monday, July 21st at 6 p.m.?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Now, I need another motion to adjourn the meeting, guys. 5?